Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be talking about anti-corruption due diligence,
Okay.
particularly for small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, as they're often called.
Yeah.
And we're using a guide
Hmm.
from the International Chamber of
All
Commerce,
right.
which is like a global organization that sets ethical standards for business
Yeah.
worldwide. And their guidance is really important for these SMEs because it kind of helps level the playing field
Yeah.
and make sure that, even smaller companies
Mhm.
can compete fairly and ethically
Right.
on that global scale.
That's right. So
Uh,
you might be thinking,
uh,
due diligence sounds like a big
right.
company problem.
Yeah.
But the truth is, even if you're a small business,
Yeah.
the partners you choose can impact your reputation
Okay.
and even your legal standing.
Wow.
So this ICC guide is like a roadmap to help you navigate those tricky waters.
So it's not just about avoiding legal trouble. It's
Yeah.
about building a sustainable, ethical business from the ground up.
Huh.
So I'm guessing this guide helps SMEs
Yes.
assess potential business partners?
Exactly. Think of it as a background check.
Okay.
But for businesses,
All right.
the guide outlines 6 key areas or pillars.
Okay.
To investigate it helps you look at who really owns and controls a company,
Okay.
their financial health,
Uh-huh.
their track record,
Okay.
even their reputation for ethical conduct.
So if I'm a small business owner
Yeah.
and I'm getting ready to sign a contract with a new supplier, for
Yeah.
example,
Okay.
where do I even begin?
Well, let's imagine this supplier is based overseas.
Okay.
One of the first things you'd want to examine is their beneficial ownership.
Okay.
That means figuring out who ultimately calls the shots.
Okay.
Sometimes the real owners might be hidden behind layers of shell companies,
Right.
especially in countries with less transparent business practices.
So it's like peeling back the layers of an onion to see who's really at the core.
Exactly.
What if you discover
Right.
that supplier
Yeah.
is actually controlled by someone with a history of, say, bribing government officials?
That would be a huge red flag.
Right.
It could mean they're willing to cut corners
Uh-huh.
and engage in unethical practices, which could put your business at risk.
Right.
The ICC guide helps you assess those kinds of risks
Okay.
and provides strategies for mitigating them.
So it's not necessarily a deal breaker,
Right.
but it definitely warrants a closer look.
Yeah.
And some tough questions.
Uh-huh.
What other kinds of red flags should SMEs be watching out for?
Let's stick with this overseas supplier example.
Okay.
Imagine you're examining their financial records
Mm-hmm.
and notice some unusually large payments,
Okay.
labeled vaguely as consulting fees.
Okay.
But there's no clear explanation of who those consultants are or what services they provided.
That sounds suspicious.
Exactly.
Just trying to hide something in plain sight.
Exactly. So
Right.
that could be a sign of bribery or other corrupt activities. The guide recommends paying close attention to inconsistencies like that,
Okay.
especially when dealing with companies in regions known for corruption.
So you're not just looking at their financials in isolation.
Right.
You're considering the context of where they operate.
Mm-hmm.
What if the financial records seem fine,
Yeah.
but there are rumors circulating online
Okay.
about the supplier engaging in questionable labor practices?
That's where the public records and reputation pillars come in.
Oh, okay.
The guide emphasizes the importance of going beyond
Yeah.
the official documents
Okay.
and digging into publicly available information,
Right.
news articles,
Yeah.
online databases, even social media
Okay.
can provide valuable insights into a company's ethical track record.
It's like doing a deep dive into their online footprint
Oh,
to
yeah.
see if anything troubling emerges.
Exactly.
So what happens if, despite some initial concerns,
Uh-huh.
the supplier seems generally trustworthy?
Even if a company's past isn't spotless, they might have taken concrete steps to improve their practices.
Okay.
Maybe they've implemented a robust ethics and compliance program,
Right.
or they've clearly distanced themselves from past wrongdoings.
So it's not about finding a perfect partner.
Right.
It's about assessing their commitment to ethical conduct
Yeah.
and their willingness to learn from past mistakes.
Right. The ICC guide stresses that due diligence is an ongoing process,
Okay.
not a one-time check.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly gathering information,
Yeah.
reevaluating risks,
Okay.
and adjusting your approach
Mhm.
as needed.
Okay.
And it's not just about avoiding negative outcomes.
Right.
It's also about finding partners who share your values.
Okay.
and want to do business the right way.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So it sounds like due diligence is really about building a relationship based on trust and transparency,
yeah.
not just ticking boxes on a checklist. But let's say
Right.
you've done all your research,
Yeah.
you've had those tough conversations, and you decided, okay, let's move forward with this partnership.
Yeah.
What happens then?
That's when you shift from assessment to action.
Okay.
You've identified the potential risks. Now it's about putting safeguards in place.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, one important step is to include specific anti-corruption clauses in your contracts.
Okay.
The ICC actually provides a model clause you can use,
Oh, wow.
which clearly states the expectations for ethical conduct
Okay.
and the consequences of violating those terms.
Okay.
It's about setting those clear boundaries from the start.
That makes sense. But contracts are only as good as the people signing them.
Right.
How can you be sure your partner is truly committed to upholding those ethical standards
Right.
and not just paying lip service?
That's where ongoing monitoring comes in.
Okay.
It's not enough to do your due diligence up front
Uh-huh.
and then just assume everything will be fine.
Right.
You need to stay engaged, keep an eye on things,
No.
be prepared to address any red flags that pop up along the way.
Yeah. So it's like tending a garden.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just plant the seeds and walk away. You need to nurture that relationship and be vigilant.
Exactly.
So how do you go about monitoring a business partner in a practical way?
Well, regular communication is key.
Okay.
Make sure you're having open and honest conversations
Uh-huh.
about any concerns that arise.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask those tough questions.
Okay.
For example, if you see something questionable in an invoice or a financial report,
Yeah.
don't just brush it off.
Right.
Dig deeper. Ask for clarification.
Yeah.
Make sure everything is above board.
So transparency is key.
Exactly.
It's about being proactive and addressing any potential issues
Yeah.
before they snowball into something bigger.
Right.
But that level of scrutiny could feel intrusive to some business partners.
It's all about framing it the right way.
Okay.
Explain to your partner that these measures are in place to protect both of you.
Okay.
It's about building a culture of compliance and ensuring everyone is on the same page when it comes to ethical conduct.
So you're turning due diligence into a collaborative effort, not a one-sided investigation.
Precisely. And remember, even with the most thorough due diligence and ongoing monitoring,
Yeah.
things can still go wrong.
Right.
That's why meticulous record keeping is crucial.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Why is documentation so important?
Well, imagine a scenario
Okay.
where allegations of wrongdoing surface
Uh-huh.
involving your business partner.
Okay.
If you have detailed records of your due diligence process, your ongoing monitoring efforts,
Yeah.
your attempts to address any concerns,
Yeah.
you're in a much stronger position to demonstrate
Right.
that you acted responsibly
Yeah.
and took reasonable steps to prevent any unethical behavior.
So it's like building a defense in case you ever need to prove
Right.
you did everything you could to ensure ethical conduct.
Exactly.
So what kind of records should SMEs be keeping and for how long?
Document everything. Keep records of your initial risk assessments. The information you gathered during your due diligence,
Uh-huh.
any communication with your business partners,
Yeah.
the steps you took to mitigate those potential risks,
Right?
and make sure you retain these records for a significant period of time, at least 10 years, is generally recommended.
Wow, a decade's worth of documentation.
Yeah.
It sounds like building a strong ethical foundation for your business requires a long-term commitment,
Uh-huh.
not just a quick fix.
Right.
But I have to ask, all this focus on due diligence, isn't it a bit, well, cynical? Does it mean you can't trust anyone in the business world?
That's a great question, and it highlights an important point.
Okay.
Due diligence isn't about assuming everyone is out to get you.
Right.
It's about being informed, proactive,
Okay.
protecting yourself and your business
Yeah.
from unnecessary risk.
So it's about striking a balance between being cautious and being open to new opportunities.
Exactly.
You're not closing yourself off from the world. You're just being smart about who you choose to do business with.
Exactly. And remember, due diligence isn't just about avoiding negative outcomes.
Right.
It's also about finding the right partners,
Right.
those who share your values and want to build a sustainable and ethical business together.
That makes a lot of sense, but I'm wondering,
Yeah.
the guide we've been discussing focuses specifically on corruption.
Uh-huh.
Could these due diligence principles be applied to other ethical considerations in business as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, that's a really important point to consider.
So we've been really focused on anti-corruption efforts.
Uh-huh.
But it sounds like this due diligence framework could be useful for any business owner who wants to make sure their partners are ethical across the board.
You're absolutely right. Think about it.
Okay.
The same principles we've been discussing,
Yeah.
they can apply to a whole range of issues.
Okay.
Are you concerned about your suppliers using child labor?
Right.
Do you want to make sure your partners are committed to environmental sustainability? These are all things you can investigate
Yeah.
using the same due diligence process.
That's incredible. It's like having a toolkit for building an ethical business.
Right.
Not just a rule book for avoiding legal trouble.
Exactly. By applying these principles,
Okay.
you can move beyond simply reacting to problems
Yeah.
and start proactively shaping your business relationships.
Okay.
It's about choosing partners who align with your values
Right.
and who are committed to making a positive impact.
So instead of just checking boxes for compliance, you're actually using due diligence to create a network of like-minded businesses,
Yeah.
all striving for a more ethical and sustainable future.
Precisely. And that's where the real power of due diligence lies.
Okay.
It's not just about protecting yourself.
Right.
It's about using your influence to raise the bar for ethical conduct across entire industries.
That's such an inspiring way to think about it. It's like turning due diligence into a force for good, not just a defensive measure.
Exactly. And remember, it all starts with asking the right questions, being informed and making conscious choices about who you partner with.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
We've uncovered some hidden risks, explored some practical strategies, even discovered how due diligence can be a catalyst for positive change.
You're now equipped to build business partnerships that are not only successful, but also ethically sound, creating a ripple effect that benefits your business, your community, and the world around you.
One last thought for you to consider as you move forward with these principles in mind.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what kind of legacy do I want my business to leave behind?
That's a good one.
And think about how your choices can shape a future where ethics and success go hand in hand.
That's great advice.